Welcome to the Leverage Show. Get more from your business and your life. Be sure to share your business questions and challenges with me at leverageshow.com, and I'll answer them on future episodes. Today, I want to share with you 4 lessons from Tim Ferriss's smash hit book, The 4-Hour Workweek. I mean, we all want to be able to work less and make more. And we want to create the lifestyle of our dreams. But the question is, how do we actually do it? So here is the 4-step formula that he lays out. It's sort of a summary to make it simple and make it really clear in terms of how to do it. So the first step is to determine what you actually want to do. You know, a lot of people set out to start a business and maybe they have some big goal in mind, or maybe they just want the freedom that they think comes with being able to generate money, run their own business, and sort of be their own boss. And so at one point or another, it becomes more about making money with that business than it does about anything else, or it does about what the bigger picture is. Once you've made all that money, then what are you going to do? You know, what is the point of all of it in the first place? Great, you know, security is a great thing to have, and it's nice to be able to know that your bills are going to be paid and that you've got the money to get what you want. But at the same time, that's not really at all, you know, fulfilling. It's basically just, you know, a means, but there isn't really any end there. And so making money itself is not an end. It's just a means to have the freedom to do what you want. But at the end of the day, if you don't know what you want to do, the problem is no amount of money is ever going to be enough, because you're still going to need to fill that void. You're going to need to fill that gap of, well, now what? Okay, so if your purpose is to build this business where then you can have all this freedom, well, what happens once you've built the business? What happens once you've started to generate a ton of money? Then what are you going to do? And the issue for a lot of people is if they get to that point, then there's sort of a void. There's an unknown. There's a little bit of the abyss and sort of a feeling of discomfort, because there wasn't really anything that was designed to be the end or where you were going to go after you achieve that. So then the goal becomes, well, bigger achievement. I mean, if I've achieved this level, then what if I go out and I do this? But maybe you don't even really need all that. I mean, what's the purpose of it anyway? So it's sort of existential, of course, but it's important to really understand and think this through, because there has to be a reason you're doing what you're doing. It isn't just about who can collect the most toys and who can get the largest share of the marbles. There has to be a bigger driving force behind it that you're going for. And that's really step 1, is determining what you actually want to do. So a great question there is, you know, what would you do if you had no restrictions or obligations? Literally nothing. If you didn't have to make money, if you were independently wealthy and it didn't matter, if you owed nothing to anybody in terms of time, in terms of, you know, money or attention, then what would you do with your life? Where would you go? You know, what would you stand for? What are the causes that you believe in? How would you spend your time? Where would you, you know, where would you go? What would you do? Who would you spend your time with? And that's what needs to be the bigger sort of picture, the thing that you're actually gunning for. And then once you get to a point where you can achieve it, now you've got something to replace that drive to sort of get to somewhere. You know, if there is no ultimate destination, you're just going to keep on driving. So that is, you know, step 1 basically in the process. Now, step 2 in the process is to focus and prioritize on what's important. And you do that so you can eliminate the overwhelm and accelerate your achievement. You know, it's very easy to stay busy, especially if you're an entrepreneur and a business owner. There's always going to be more stuff to do. There are always going to be things that will fill in your time to keep your schedule busy. But the trick is, or the secret is to not anesthetize yourself so you're constantly busy and bombarded with stuff to do, but instead flip that on its head and try to focus on what is the most important thing. What are the highest leverage activities that I can do right now? And then if I do those things right now, I know I'm going to get to where I want to be faster and easier than if I do all the other stuff. You can, if you confuse being busy with being productive and allow yourself to feel, rewarded and productive just because you're busy, it's a scary place to be, because you can spend a lot of time doing a bunch of stuff that doesn't really move your business forward. It doesn't move you closer to where you're trying to go in the first place. The Pareto principle is a great example of this. And he said that, 80% of the outcomes come from 20% of the input. So, and this applies to just about every aspect of your life. In your wardrobe, you wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. In your business, 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your customers. 80% of your problems, come from 20% of your customers. So it's a different 20%, obviously. And 80% of your productivity, 80% of your results are going to come from 20% of your activities. If you could focus on that 20%, determine what it is and focus on it, you could build your business bigger and faster than you ever even thought possible. So what it really comes down to with this is that it's as important as deciding what you should be doing and what you're going to do is what you're not going to do. Basically getting rid of all of the stuff that is fluff, that is low leverage activity. I read recently that Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook decided that for a year he was just going to wear a gray t-shirt every day. And the reason he was just going to wear a gray t-shirt every day is he was trying to eliminate low impact decision making. When I get up in the morning, all I've got to do is grab my t-shirt and throw it on. I don't need to think about what I'm going to wear. I don't have to decide. I don't have to waste time and energy on decisions that don't mean anything. And that's a perfect example of that, focusing on high leverage activities. So you're basically looking for, focusing on what not to do, as well as focusing on exactly what you want to do. Now, step 3 is to actually go and replace yourself in your own business, or even if you're an employee right now working for somebody else, finding ways to minimize your necessity to be in the office and to be present all the time. And the way that you do that is by simplifying, by delegating, by eliminating, and by automating. So first of all, anything that is non-essential to what you need to do to get to where you're going, eliminate it. Don't even bother trying to automate or make any changes with that. Just eliminate it. If it isn't essential, get rid of it. That's the first part of it. Then simplify anything else that can be simplified. If there are things that can be done in 3 steps that are taking 8, get it down to 3 steps. If there is a way that you can use software or a tool to automate something that you have to do by hand, automate it. Social media is a great example of this. If you're doing anything on social media, if you're manually posting on all your social media accounts, you're wasting a ton of time. That can be completely automated. It can certainly be delegated and outsourced, but it can also be totally automated. There are a ton of tools that will go out there and automatically post all your stuff for you. So you can get it done in seconds, what is taking you maybe an hour. So you definitely want to simplify and you want to automate. So you want to make sure that all of the time that you're spending is on the highest and best use. And then you want to delegate. So there is going to be stuff that has to get done. There are going to be things that are important. And there are going to be decisions that need to be made. So you determine what the thresholds are for what is absolutely vital for you to do versus what can other people do. If there are decisions that can be made that are inexpensive and lower impact, give those away, delegate, outsource. Make sure that you get rid of that stuff. You want to get other people in charge of as much of the work as possible. So you're left with just the highest impact, lowest time consuming aspect of the job and of your business. And so the fourth step then, once you've done the first three, is to actually spend time doing what you want to do. If you originally you set out to you want to spend 3 days a week on the beach, and then you achieve the first three steps, you get to a point where you're making enough money, your business is rocking, you've got your workday cut down, there's still this sort of inertia. There's still this sort of barrier, this psychological barrier of discomfort where you are afraid to actually do. Forget about all that. Actually go to the beach then 3 days a week. If your goal was, I want to see a different city, once every 2 months I want to travel to a new city and take my family with me, then do it. Actually book the tickets and go. And let everything else take care of itself. That's what you worked for in the first place. Don't wait till you're 70 years old and you have, $50 million in the bank and now you're going to go do it all. You've wasted decades of your life that you could have been doing it already. So if you have all of this time and you've achieved all of this stuff, then do what you set out to do in the first place. That is a critical part of it. All the effort and all the energy that you use to achieve the life that you want is ultimately meaningless if you don't then actually go do it. So get out there and do it. Disappear on vacation. Get out of the office. Go sit in the library and read a book. Go, hang out in the garden. Go play a round of golf. Go volunteer, for a cause you believe in. Whatever it is that is vital to you, to your soul, to who you want to be and what you set out to do. It's vital that you actually get out there and do it, because that's the spoils, that's the reward for what you spent the time doing it for in the first place. And otherwise it just becomes, again, back on the hamster wheel of more, because you're not comfortable enough to break away and actually do it. So it's important that you get out there and you do it and you experience the reward for your work and for your effort that you put in. These 4 steps not only get you the freedom to do what you want to do, but they ensure that you actually enjoy that freedom that you wanted in the first place. If you liked this episode, be sure to subscribe on iTunes or YouTube and share it with others who you think will like it too. And remember, if you have a question, post it so I can answer it for you on a future episode. And until next time, make it happen.